Welcome to Digital Dialogues. I'm your host, Steve Marion, Senior Director of Customer Success at Quantum Strides. Joining me today is a special guest, Steven Atkins, Director of Facilities Management at Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare. So let's get started. Steven, how are you today?
Doing good. Thanks for having me today, Stephen.
Thank you so much. So Steven, just out of curiosity, where are you from originally?
I'm from a small town in Mississippi called Iuka, Mississippi, in the very northeast corner. Little small town, maybe 6,000 people live there.
Wow. Okay. All right. I got to ask, what initially drew you to the world of facilities management, especially in healthcare?
Yeah, I stumbled into healthcare. I think you would say my family owned a residential construction company growing up. And as I grew, I learned a lot of those skills and trades. And I spent some time working in and out of different locations. I worked at a tire manufacturing plant and had an accident there where I damaged part of my right foot. And I spent some time working
Hmm.
night duty. And as I came out one day on the way home, I just stopped at a random nursing home and said, "Hey, you guys looking for a maintenance director?" And she said, "Yeah, you must be the guy who's coming to interview." I said, "No, I wasn't, but I'm happy to interview." And that's where it started. So I started in long-term care. I met some people who really got me interested in life safety code and wanted me to come work in the hospital world. And I stepped up to a smaller hospital and then I made a big leap up to the big hospital that I'm at now here in Memphis, Tennessee.
Wow. Wow. That's quite the start for you there. So, what would you say then, with that in mind, what would you say has been the most defining moment in your journey to becoming Director of Facilities Management there at Memphis Le Bonheur Healthcare?
Probably getting the certified healthcare facility manager certification. We call it the CHFM. That's the one you need if you're going to be in healthcare facilities maintenance and you're going to, climb the ranks at the director level or go up. It really just exemplifies your knowledge and understanding, and you know how to find answers to questions that relate to the healthcare world. So I put 6, 7 months into studying for that CHFM and tested for it. I think at the time I passed it, the pass rate was less than 30%. So I was scared, put a lot of time into prepping for that. But passing that CHFM, once I passed it, that's when I got this offer to work here in Memphis, Tennessee at a larger hospital. So I really think that was a defining moment to get me where I'm at now.
Wow, fantastic. That's awesome accomplishment for you. Now, I noticed that you led tours during National Healthcare Facilities and Engineering Week. Can you maybe share a memorable moment or two from those tours?
Sure, I was really giddy about this because I take a lot of pride in our facility. Our team does a fantastic job of getting our space ready, making it look good, while also maintaining the systems we need. But I think it was more of a collection of moments for me as we walked different people down through there. They were able to see just how complex the systems are that we work on and how closely they tie to patient care. I think a lot of people have the conception that maintenance workers in a hospital are light bulbs and toilets. And we're so much more than that. And we're very complex systems. So to see those looks of, oh my, you guys do this? And how does this relate to patient care? Being able to answer those questions and the looks on people's faces and those interactions, I'll remember those for several years for sure. That was big for us.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, you just said some light on that for me as well. I might have been one of those people you're talking about. You've managed various facilities roles from plant operations to construction management. How has your approach to leadership evolved over time?
I don't think it's evolved personally. Like I said, my family owned a residential construction company. From the time I was 16, I've been running a crew of people that were much older than me. And that's no problem for me. It's never bothered me. I think the biggest thing from a leadership standpoint is I've always wanted to be a servant leader. I want to make sure my staff knows that I'm here to do for them. I feel like my job as a leader is to make their job as easy as possible and to make sure they have the tools and the resources they need to be successful. So I think that leadership style is effective. It has been effective for the teams that I've led. And then I also want to make sure people know I'm not asking them to do anything that I wouldn't do. My team often has to tell me, no, we got it. They won't let me do the physical work, but I want them to know that there's nothing I would ask my team to do that I wouldn't do myself. And I would actually, truly, at this point, I would enjoy it. I miss it to an extent.
Yeah, definitely signs of a great leader right there, Stephen. So, with that in mind, what qualities do you think are essential for someone managing healthcare facilities, especially when balancing operational demands with the need for safety and compliance?
I think having the ability to learn is really important. Healthcare is a field that's very humbling. So it's not one of those fields where you know it and you know it all and everything's good to go. That's not the way it works in healthcare. It's constantly evolving. So having someone who has the ability to learn is highly valuable. And then just having someone who can deal with people on a daily basis. People skills are important. We deal with a lot of systems that are very complex and they don't talk back to us. But the people that we deal with in the healthcare world, they may be having the worst day of their life or have just gotten some bad news, and having the ability to cope with people through their situations and communicate effectively, that's huge. And one more thing on communication, a simple shutdown to a hot water line can impact tons of people here in our hospital. So having the understanding that we have to communicate early and often and make sure people know what's going on. I think a lot of times that's where frustration happens in the healthcare world because there's so many moving parts. People don't understand what could be happening or why something's the way it is. And I think to really be successful, you have to have a really good communication style for all different types of situations.
Nice, nice. With that in mind, Stephen, what are some of the biggest challenges that you've encountered in healthcare facilities management, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, one that we deal with daily, and I think it's going to continue to happen, is what we refer to as the silver tsunami. There's a huge portion of people who work in healthcare facilities management who are ready to retire in the next 10 years. And they've got a lot of knowledge about the facility and its involvement over the years. And as buildings were added on where valves are and shutoffs to different systems, that information is within 5 to 10 years of leaving the organizations. So having a process and an understanding and a way to capture that knowledge and information and share it with the teams that are coming in, that's a huge challenge here in healthcare facilities. And it's not just here in Memphis, it's across the country. I talked with several of my colleagues across the aisle and they deal with the same thing. So there's a huge emphasis right now on building infrastructural drawings that show where all of our valves and systems and ductwork and all of the different things run throughout our buildings so that as that information leaves the world of healthcare, we're able to still capture some of it and use it to remain running effectively on a daily basis. That's a huge concern of mine because I know I'm going to be here for another 30 years and I've got to fight this and we need to start now.
I hope I'm around to see you in another 30 years. Now, can you tell me, Stephen, about a time when something unexpected happened and how your team's preparation or adaptability made a big difference in that?
Sure. I think that's daily. Here at Methodist University Hospital, we're a conglomerate of about 7 different buildings or structures that were built over the years or the course of the involvement of this healthcare system. And each day we battle different things. We're actually right now, we're battling a steam leak at our facility. And the steam would require a shutdown to an entire wing of the building that we house patients on for about 6 different floors. So it's a major setback for us in terms of being able to maintain our steam pressure and shut down and run at the same time. So our teams, again, it comes back to what we're working on with the silver tsunami, is having a good set of plans, a good way to understand here's a way we can shut down steam to one area of the building, but bypass it and go around and still be able to shoot steam to that area of the building, but isolate an area that we can work on. And that knowledge is, and having a process and an understanding and a drawing that we can just pull out. Here's a way to do that. That's been effective for us is having that information available. And it's all a systematic approach. We have issues that pop up every day that maybe have not happened in 10 years, but we have a systemized approach on what we do and how we analyze and come out with the best outcome for each one. Just systemize. We got to systemize what we do, especially in a big facility like we have here.
Great. Now, earlier we talked about a couple of certification that you achieved, the CHFM, and I believe you may have another certification. And obviously, those certifications bring you a wealth of knowledge and expertise. How have these certifications shaped your approach to facilities management?
Oh, wow. The CHFM and the Certified Life Safety Specialist for Healthcare, those are two that I hold. And what they do is they don't teach you every single thing. It doesn't tell you that you know everything, but it tells you that you know how to find the information. The CLSSHC, that means I know how to read the NFPA 101 code book. And what that does is it's an answer to a lot of questions for a lot of different scenarios or situations. So you don't have to know it all. You just got to know how to find it. And these certifications give you the ability to do that. And I think that holds true. The CHFM is the same, but I think most importantly, we're talking about how we're going to handle issues here at our facility. I say it all the time, and other guys get tired of hearing it, but I feel this way too. You don't have to know it all. You got to know who to call. And so you got to know who are the people, who are the people that we need, and rely on those expertise, and then just utilize your communication skills to make sure everything happens and it doesn't impact patient care in any way. Those certifications have been very impactful on my career, but it basically comes back down to know who to call, know the right people. I save every number of everybody I talk to and put a name beside them and their company beside them so that we can always reach out to those people whenever we need something that's good for anything that may be going on.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. No, that's some great insight there. Now, Stephen, how do you see technology, such as data analytics or energy management systems, changing the landscape of facilities management and healthcare?
I see it being very big in the future. I am very data driven. I want to take everything we got and collect data, and it shows trends so that we can have some predictability on our equipment and on the repairs that we'll have in the future. There is a reluctance. Like I said, we're going through the silver tsunami, and a lot of those people who are getting ready to retire in 8 to 10 years are not as tech savvy as someone who's coming in the next 5 years. I think it's important to work that effectively without just pushing people out. Because I know there's a lot of people who work in our field. They're just here to fix it, man. They just want to fix it and go on. They're not here to write down every bit of data and move along and take your time and go through that. They're here to fix it. So we got to find a way to bridge the gap there. How can we use data? How can we capture data in a way that still allows our teams to work effectively? But data is going to drive everything that we do in the future. Our facility is going through a building optimization program right now where we've got a team coming in and they're using data and they're documenting all of the different ways that we can save energy. And they've started implementation of that savings, and we're tracking the data to show it. And the goal for me is put all of that information together, capture all the data, put it together, and put a presentation together that we can go around the country and say, hey, here's an effective approach. Here's what worked for us, and give people kind of a blueprint on possible ways to do that. I can understand from anyone's perspective at another facility who's just everything's running and you're happy, you're good, everything's running smooth. It can be scary to jump off into an optimization project because you don't want to change things when things are working. But that's the reality. That's where we're headed. I tell the guys all the time, if we're not moving forward, we're really moving backwards because the rest
Yes.
of the world is moving forward without us. So that analytics, optimization, those are the future. And I'm excited about it, ready to see where it leads us.
Yeah, no doubt. Artificial intelligence is going to play a big role, I'm sure, in facilities management as well. What do you see as one area of healthcare facilities management that you think will undergo possibly the most transformation in the next few years?
I would say I think a lot of the life safety inspections that we do, we have to inspect exit lighting, a lot of different things that we inspect monthly, sometimes even weekly. And I see different programs out there now that are starting to automate that stuff where maybe there's different ways that they bring in information or they bring in a data collection agency or a program that collects the data that would normally happen with a human walking to make that inspection. Just like, for example, an exit light in a building has to be checked monthly, right? So they've got an exit light out now that it has its own module inside it and it connects to an online database and it checks itself every month.
Smart exit lights. Yep.
So I think you're going to see a really big rise in the way we do some of our life safety inspections because it's a huge burden on especially large facilities like ourselves for manpower to be able to go around and do that. And I think a lot of companies have tapped into that already. and they see the market for it. So I see that really changing in the years to come.
Interesting. Very interesting. Now, I'd like to come back to talk a little bit more, have you expand a little bit more on something I found very interesting outside of your obvious day-to-day role as a director of facilities. You've operated a laundromat, and you mentioned you also were in the construction business, which is a family-owned business. What's the story behind that, and what do you enjoy about having side projects?
Yeah, I'm a busybody. Like I said, my family, I had this family and we grew up in residential construction. What I gathered in that, and I started really young. My dad took me around 7 years old.
Hmm.
Really, all I ever knew was work. I really enjoyed it. But what I found out early on in life is that if I wanted to make more money, I could do more work. And that's what I really grabbed from construction, right? As life
Hmm.
as life happens and your life demands more money, you just work more. You just do find you another job, find something else to make that extra amount of money that you need. For me, when I graduated, I actually went to school. I got a degree in education. I was a teacher for 2 years. When I did that, I worked all summer and on the weekends just doing construction work. But as I grew in my healthcare career, so did my salary, and then so did my amount of time that I had to put into that. When I got into the laundromat world, that was an effort to make money without being there on the side.
Hmm.
And that was a really good business. We enjoyed it. It was a season of life where we used it for about 3 years and then we ended up selling and moving on to other things. But it's just as your family grows and as you work in and out of these different seasons of life, you find ways to get it done. And the laundromat was an awesome one. It was a lot of fun. We spent a lot of time counting quarters over the years. My kids enjoyed that. We'd all sit down at the kitchen table and count quarters together. Lots of good times from that. But the construction and the work outside of work, we're just making ends meet. You establish a certain lifestyle. You feel, as a father, I feel obligated to maintain that lifestyle. And whatever we have to do to maintain that, that's what we do. So a lot of fun in
Nice.
it. But I really enjoy it.
It sounds like it. So now, with all your professional responsibilities, what activities would you say help you unwind, let your hair down, balance your work and personal life?
Sure, I have 5 children. So the fact that we have those means we're always on the go. So our wind down is just enjoying our kids, watching them play ball. We're also over the youth at our church. So we over the youth group and we're constantly in and out of church. So that between our children and the sports and the church, that's where it all comes down to. I would love to play golf more. Don't get me wrong. I would enjoy that. But my kids are young right now. And I tell myself there's a season where I'm going to get to bring my kids and we're going to get to play golf and do that stuff more. But for our family and where we're at right now, it's just family. That's all it is for us. Everything outside of work is pure family.
Gotcha, gotcha. That sounds like a lot of fun for you and I can only imagine the type of work ethic your children are going to
I, I
have.
hope they do. Yeah, certainly for sure.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so one last question, and this has been a great, great learning experience for me. So you're from Mississippi, you work in Memphis. All right, what's the best barbecue place in Memphis?
Mm. From what I understand, and I don't eat out a lot, right? But
Mhm.
we've had them cater us a couple of times. I really enjoy One and Only Barbecue. They're
Oh,
pretty good. It's called the One and Only, but that's been hard to beat for me. I did get to go to Memphis in May this last year. First time to ever go to that. I thought I barbecued at my house until I went to Memphis in May. I'm like, I don't hold a candle to these people. These people know how to barbecue. So I just never realized it was that big of a deal until you get to Memphis and you see, you're like, oh my gosh, these guys are serious about their barbecue up here. So,
yeah,
but there was probably somebody at Memphis in May who just really killed it, but you just don't have the opportunity to experience them all because there's so much.
yeah, yeah. Listen, this has been amazing. I thank you ever so much, Stephen Atkins, for joining me today on Digital Dialogues. It's been a blast. We'll have to do this again. But until
Sure.
that time, thank you again. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks a lot, Stephen. Appreciate you.